And we are live. Yay! I am Brenda Williams. I'm a visionary biz coach, empath biz coach, and I work with female identified empaths to hone their gifts as empaths to use them in service to social justice, equity, and inclusion on the world through their mission based businesses. And I am here with that personified with Rose Kaz, who is the founder and CEO, the head body boss lady in charge of Lady Boss International. Yes, who has, I would say, a very timely event that is happening this Saturday for the love of democracy. So, first and foremost, Rose has welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you for having me. Thank you for caring about this event and for the work that you do in the world to support women who are badass body leaders.
Oh, thank you. So we'll just jump right into it. For the love of democracy, that is such a bold title. And I just wanted to ask you, what inspired you to want to host this specific event?
Thank you for this question, Brenda. So, for the love of anything, we can finish that statement with so many different things, and I think everybody has their own thing that gets them out of the bed in the morning each day, right? Um, but for the love of democracy, like here we are in 2022, and we have been through the train wreck of the dumpster fire of the bleep show. Uh, and here we still are trying to make sense of the world. And so when I think about democracy, there's a lot of woman power and manpower that goes to getting the thing going, right? And maintaining it. And so as a heart-led entrepreneur, as a businesswoman who leads first with my feels and then my logic, um, the love, the heart of democracy, right? Like it is the people, it is the demos, it is those who make it happen that keep
Mhm.
it going. And that's our job. Like that is our civic duty, whether or not we like it. And I personally love it. And so my goal is to lead by example to show more women who already take up roles of leadership that we can care just a little, maybe 5% more about our democratic process, to engage with our neighbors, to engage with our coworkers, to engage with our partners, so that we can have a truly democratic process versus one that just is called democracy.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that you hosting this event is so timely, especially where we are. And of course, it hits me in my soft spot in my feels because I run a girls leadership program. And I was reading somewhere, or I think it was a documentary, the misrepresentation of women in media, and they were saying that by the time a girl leaves elementary school, she's least likely to participate in the democratic process, i.e., running for things like student council. Many
Mhm.
schools have their governing bodies of student leaders, and so by the time a girl leaves middle school, many times they stop participating in the democratic or the governmental aspects of society, or i.e. her immediate community. So if you could just share, because I think we haven't centered enough um, just how essential and vital women are to legislation and the process. So you have coalesced over 40 of the most amazing, dare I say, badass women in the civic leadership capacity. If you could just share with us some names of the women who are going to be showing up on Saturday.
Yes, definitely. And I am so with you, the importance of this as a timestamp on what we have going on, not only globally, which we, if anybody's been paying attention to any of the news, and even if you need to take breaks on the news, no shame in that too. But even bringing that down to your state government, to your city, your municipality, even your school board, right? Local is important. And so when we look at the roster of women included in this conversation, we do have women running for Senate office from Georgia, Tamara Johnson Shealy, running for the the state seat of Senate in Georgia, right? All the way over across to the other side of the country, and we have women running for municipality. Jade Duran in Arizona, right? In the more local election there, right? We also have women who are, simply put, civic leaders with their own projects that are officially NGO, non-government organizations. Go with the Flow, Period Project, Planned Parenthood, Pantsuit Nation. These will all have representatives on the call, but aren't necessarily running for office. And our goal in showcasing women who are both candidates as well as civic leaders in their own circles, right? Again, non-government, like just like the Power of Girlhood, while it is sustained by members of the community, it's not yet got a cabinet seat down in DC yet, right?
Right.
But, and I should say, when we are working together with leaders who, Tamara has run for Senate a number of times, she is deeply entrenched in the political system. And we will see progress based on what she's working on with this platform of White Women for Reparations, right? All the way down to the smaller, if you will, programs that are city based, but just as important for our young girls, for our young boys, for our youth for tomorrow. So we will be talking with all of these women from coast to coast on this virtual event, talking about what civic engagement actually looks like in 2022. And not just like, what do we do to make it happen, but what is it? What are the optics? And then what are the actions? And why the optics do matter, because those young girls, by the time they're leaving junior high, might be less inspired based on what the media shows them. Well, I'm all about that media. I'm all about that content. And I'm all about putting the screens as large as they can be, even if it's a Zoom screen, right? Even if it's just the audio that's playing in the background while, the young Berhendas, the young Roses are doing their homework in the background so they can hear, oh my gosh, listen to all those cool, badass women, like firing me up. And it's important for me to say, I got around that stat because I'm student council president, class of 2000. Like, I've always wanted to see a more engaged community on any number of topics, which we could totally riff on another time. But that sort of chutzpah, I want to be sure to inspire in other women, in other men, in other theys, in other thems, young people, old people, because it is truly our duty as humans to be civically engaged, whether we like it or not. And there's some of us that do that at 150, and some of us do that at about 50%. That's okay. We're all here working on this together to move democracy forward.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought in sort of the pronouns, because you do have trans representation, LGBTQIA plus representation at this event. So if you could just share a bit about why inclusivity, you kind of alluded to it, but let's just name it, why inclusivity is so important in this conversation around feminine leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if we take it back, and probably not back far enough, but into my experience of studying politics and leadership and women-led leaderships and missions movements, we know that what progress has looked like a lot in the past hasn't always included everybody. And that's a huge disservice to humans, largely, including the ones that were serviced by that inclusive nature, whether it was just white women. Like, that was a disservice to the feminist movement early in the last century, because it didn't include all of the women, it included only some of the women. And so here we are a good 100 years later, still pushing forward that same narrative, but in a different way that is truly inclusive of a feminine-led world. And so what I mean by a feminine-led world is not old school feminism, not wave one, not wave two. We're probably on a wave 8 or 9 by now if you really start asking the right people, because we've had to each time look back and go, oh, snap. I also you, yes, please you. And it's not really my job as a white lady. Like, I am not that gatekeeper, although historically that has been the way it has worked out. And so my job right now, as somebody who pulls together more amplification, more plugs for the mics, bigger stages so that these voices can be heard, points to a very colorful panel, right? Points to Brianna Westbrook, who is running as a candidate in Arizona, and they have embodied a feminine leadership, although perhaps not their gender assignment at birth. And that's their story to share, not exactly mine to riff on. But even such folks as Skylar Morrison, who is a youth activist around the rights for the LGBTQAI group of younger people, right, who have had very beautiful experiences earlier than, say, most of us in understanding that these privileges, save for, you know, the men or the women or the black or the white, these younger folks are being like, hold on, wait a second, I have something to say about that. And so we've even included young folks in this panel as civic leaders. And I know you and I have shared about the idea of what it looks like, not just as a more inclusive world to have more women voices, but younger folks, because they're often blessed with the vision of not having ego or money the first thing that hits their mind when they're coming up with a solution on civic engagement. So I'm really excited to have both of those folks and many other people that will join in the conversation as audience members to be seen and heard from a perspective that maybe historically we haven't really seen as a groundswell just yet.
Yeah. And I think that, again, like you were naming the various waves, when we really objectively look back, there are people who are not included in the conversation historically and even in current day. So I love, and of course, you know, you're one person and we can't tax any one individual to do all of this work. And so for those of you who are listening now, or if you're catching this on the replay, this is why it's really an imperative that you show up and bring other people with you, like share it with your network, because the feminine way of healing and moving forward really is in community, in circle, in collaboration. It's a collective wisdom versus like just a singular, this is what I say, do this. We answer and heal and move in community. So, Rose, before I let you go, I thank you so much for joining us today. One, where can people purchase tickets? And then if they can't come to the event, is there a replay available?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that, for both of those questions, Brenda. So the best place for people to purchase tickets is on our main Lady Boss website. I can drop that link here to you,
Yes, please.
and if we can post it for the replay, that would be awesome. Tickets are available right now, and it's important to say that it is a priced ticket at $25, and the profits of this event will go to an organization directly linked to democratic works in Ukraine. It's very important to me that we are talking about how we execute and make democracy work in the States, but we can't put our head in the sand on how that looks internationally, especially in this moment. So we will be sending proceeds to an amazing organization, and we'll have all of that information on that link that I've just shared with you, Brenda. So those tickets are available there. And then we will have a replay. And one of my favorite things to do is sort of mashups of our events, because we do a lot of conversations like this virtually as well as in person. And so we will have like a straightforward mashup or straightforward replay, I should say, which will be a long program. I will say we've got 3 hours, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard, with each a different sort of zone of the conversation. And in between, just to keep it light and keep it fresh, we will have some amazing edutainment, I like to call it. We will have the indelible Natalia Clavier from Thievery Corporation leading us in medicine song in between session 1 and session 2. And then on our break between session 2 and session 3, we'll have Davelyn Athena, who will work with us on some mindfulness, a little meditation. And then as our finale performer, we'll have Chioma Ossai, who is quite Lady Boss International in that she is based currently in Berlin, and she's a poet, and she will grace us with her beautiful poetry. So don't be alarmed by like a 3-hour deep dive into politics and thinking like, oh my goodness, that's a little too much than I can handle on a Saturday. It's going to be beautifully broken up. And the arch of the whole event is a town hall conversation. And so we want you as the audience to feel inspired and like, ooh, I've got something to say about that. And with the beautiful guidance of folks like Berhenda and Abby Green, Jen Buck, and our amazing MC, Deanna Jean, this is going to be it's just going to be a beautiful event. Excuse my Slack is just popping off. It's the world of a lady boss.
Mm-hmm. No, amazing. So just to recap it is happening this Saturday, 4/9, April the 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I did drop a link in here, but I'll also drop it also in the replay comments. There are 3 tracks, if you will, or breakout discussions that will happen around various topics. One is youth specific. You have a dynamic MC. There's medicine music. There's poetry to sort of break up the heaviness that may come along with politics. And this will be probably 3 of the best hours of your life, built into feminine leadership and community and voice. And part of what is going to make this event more impactful is your presence there, because you have named off some really amazing women who are participating in this and organizations. I'm particularly excited about Go With The Flow, because for just to name this, in the United States, for girls and particularly girls of color, menstruation is a barrier to education, because if you have to choose between food and sanitary napkins, you're going to choose food. I mean, let's just be honest. So there are initiatives that are happening across the country where there is a collection of sanitary products so that girls don't have to miss out on their education. And if you think about it, a period lasts anywhere from 3 to 7, and for some of those of us, particularly women of color, fibroid tumors are extraordinarily high in proportion to other racial demographics. So that can make bleeding longer. So I just want people to understand that a lot of times some of the issues we think are over there, they're here as well. And so what are we going to do about it? And I think you created a solution. This is what we're going to do about it. So there are amazing organizations that are represented here. Rose is taking such a I think a selfless act forward to using both her power and privilege as a white presenting human in a feminine form, to use her platform to help amplify the works and the thoughts of others. So please join this event. Many of us have wasted $25. Let's just keep it all the way 100. And there's also an additional perk, Rose, of the $25. So what happens when people get entry into this event?
Thank you for reminding me of that, because sometimes we get so in the mode of like getting the message of the event out there, we forget about like all these little icings on the cake that go along with the sweet cupcake of democracy, if you will. So your ticket to the event, of course, is inclusive of this beautiful town hall conversation. We want your voice heard. And before the event and during the event and after the event, there's a platform that I have built in collaboration with a lot of amazing lady bosses called the Lady Boss International Backstage Pass. That is the LBI Backstage Pass. And on that platform, we collaborate, elevate, and inspire with women globally so that we can do things like activate our civic engagement, close the wage gap, talk about self-care and self-love and good sexiness of our souls, right? And so these are conversations that we have on the daily on the Backstage Pass. And so I invite, if you're thinking about like, what am I going to do this Saturday? How am I going to activate my, body lady boss nest? Like, get your ticket and come through, and be sure to hop on the Backstage Pass at any point before the event, during the event, and after the event, because you'll connect with more women like yourself, like Berhenda, like myself, that are really seeing this moment in time as an activated time to be alive. Like some people say it's a real crazy time to be alive, or boy, oh boy, there's just so much. It's true. And for those of us who see this as an opportunity to step into bigger roles of leadership, to have our voices be heard, to say, hold on, let me get that mic a little louder for you, girlfriend, right? Like, these are the conversations that we have often on the Backstage Pass. and we want to invite you to come and coalesce with us and join in on the conversations, not just on Saturday, but as we move forward with this groundswell, with this movement. We are not the only lady bosses talking about this stuff, and it is my goal is to bring us all together, because when we link arms, when we build bridges in this way, that's when we see the tides change. That's when we see the leadership modalities, the modalities that we're hoping for to link and to catch, to truly do so, because we have that collective steam together.
Amazing. Amazing. Very well said. Very well spoken. So now, lady bosses, this is on you. We're asking you to join us in this convergence of both thought and action. And again, the link has been dropped for you to sign up, but not just yourself. Please share this with your community. Share this with other like-hearted, female-identified leaders and doers in the community. Share this with the people that you know that their voice is needed, and definitely, as always, it's always super important to see who's not in the room. And so, those voices who typically don't get platforms, that typically are not heard or believed, please make sure that they're there in the space, because this is a really powerful opportunity for us as a collective, a feminine collective, to help move and share and usher each other forward. So, Rose, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me for a bit today.
Thank you, B. And if I can say one last thing, if there's anybody that catches this and is like, that $25 is a little steep for me, I need to put it over here, or I just can't, then drop me an email, okay? We will get you that ticket. It is more important for me to hear your voice than it is for me to get your $25 right now. That's just where I'm at with this. And I just want you to hear that. So the email where you can drop us a link, drop us a note and just say, hey, can I get that ticket? It's say hi, like hi, S like Sam, A like apple, Y like yellow, HI like hi, LBI, Lady Boss International at gmail.com. So say hi, LBI at gmail.com if you would like a scholarship ticket, and I will be so happy to have you there.
Oh, Rose, thank you so much for that. That is beyond generous. So there's no excuse to not be here, because our voices, and especially right now, really critically matter. And also the proceeds are going to help support relief efforts and on the ground in the Ukraine. And so we don't have to overstate what we know to be true. We're in an all-out war. And so that is impacting us all. And especially if you're empathic, you are feeling the energetics of that. And so the best response is to take inspired action with your time, talent, and treasure. So again, Rose, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope to see you all on Saturday. And if you need more information or something you didn't catch here, you can reach out to myself, inbox, DM me, and I'll get any information that you need over to you and put you in touch with Rose. And again, Rose, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, B. Thank you, everybody.
All right, be good to yourselves, everyone, and we'll see you on Saturday.